Hi, everyone. Excuse me. I'm Virginia Amos with Coldwell Banker in Old Town. And with us, we have Bill Blackburn and Chelsea Anderson of the Homegrown Restaurant Group. Although most of you will know the mug at the top from the streets of Delray, where he controls the happenings at Pork Barrel BBQ, the Sushi Bar, and Holy Cow. And Chelsea has, a couple of roles at the Hometown Restaurant Group, including graphic design and operations. So I was saying a little bit earlier, this is the first restaurant group we've actually talked to. So and I know our viewers are interested in, everything that's taken place over the past 2 months. It seems longer than that in some ways, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So both of you, from the time the quarantine actually started to when you did your first takeout, how long did that take you all to make that switch, and kind of what was involved with it?
Well, we never stopped, okay. It was about, I don't know, it was a while ago now, but I would say 36, 48 hours of a transition from we set the tent up outside and started doing the contactless pickup before we closed the inside. And that was still like a week and a half before it was mandated by the state. So we did that first.
March 13th.
Oh, Chelsea's been taking detailed notes. She's got a diary. She has a COVID diary that she's been documenting all of this so that we can go back and look at it.
I'm sorry, March 15th.
March 15th.
Okay.
We first put the tent up outside.
Yeah, we at the Delray restaurants and even the Carlisle restaurants, we just kind of naturally transitioned to it, and it got to a point where it was 90% outside pickup, so it was easy to make that switch. It's been difficult, but our group's done a pretty good job of managing it. I mean, it's been a real challenge, but we've been able to, for the most part, make that transition
with the help of an enormously hardworking staff.
Yeah, for sure.
I can imagine that that's been a bit of a challenge. What you said, Bill, and Chelsea, about your keeping notes, it reminds me of what Mike Brown said last Friday, who's the chief of police. And he said, no one ever teaches you this in police academy. And he said, we are keeping really good notes so that we can actually develop some kind of playbook. God forbid this ever happen again in the future, but we have something to learn from, and it sounds like you're doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's just going to be very fascinating to look back on, because we're living in an incredibly remarkable time right now that is going to be studied for hundreds of years to come. So it's really, I find documentation to be really fascinating, and especially right now, and there's so many positive reasons to do it. And it's actually been really helpful because we luckily only had to close one of the 6 restaurants, Whiskey and Oyster, to all of this. And when we opened it back up just a couple weeks ago, we had the experience and the documentation to look back on, to at least sort of have a model to follow. And not that me journaling was the biggest help by any means, but at least we had dates to look back on, because as you said, it's only been a couple months, but it seems like much longer than that.
But you know that at some point in the future, this is going to be the subject of a class in hospitality programs at colleges and university, at Johnson and Wales. And what a great contribution people like you can make to that foundation of learning. So kudos to you for doing it, because it's going to be needed.
Yeah.
So, Bill, what happened? Just point here. Everybody who's out there online, and I think we have quite a few people, please share this on your Facebook so that as many people can see these two as possible. So, Bill, tell us what has happened with your staff. Did you have to lay off people?
Yes and no. The positions that were tip positions, the servers and the bartenders, some of them have been let go, mm-hmm. but they've all been, for the most part, given the opportunity to come back and work in an hourly role. We have shifts at our tent, outside, and we've had other restaurants, so we shuffled the deck a little bit. The Whiskey Oyster restaurant was closed for about a month, Chelsea.
Yeah.
And during that time, we had to let go of quite a few people there, everybody. And we've since brought the majority of them back.
Okay.
Granted, people are in different roles. Everything looks different, and it's changed. But the casualties in our restaurant group are not as big as I thought they were going to be 2 months ago.
Oh, good.
There's people who are working more than they did before, and there's people who are working less than they did before. So
it was always like our number one priority, besides obviously safety for our staff. Was their biggest thing was to employ as many people as possible.
That was I'll remember. I'm not sure if this is in Chelsea's notes, but at the very onset of this, I remember talking to Mike, and it wasn't a panic, but there was a lot of uncertainty, and Mike said, "We got to take care of the staff. We have to take care of the staff," and that was the most important thing to us, and still is that making sure that we take care of the people who work in the restaurants, because a lot of them are paycheck to paycheck, and they can't miss a paycheck. Right. And that was the most important thing to us, and still is.
I hear that from almost everybody that we talk to, that it's really all about the staff and trying to hold on to that as much as possible. Now, Bill, I know that you have gotten tremendous support from the Del Rey community. And, you've got 3 restaurants right in a line, and we're a pretty small, tight group over here. What has it been like, Chelsea, in the other locations? Have you felt that same kind of support from the community?
Definitely. Over in Carlisle, it's a neighborhood that is very close to everything, but is always driven by, because it's kind of in that little pocket, right next to Old Town. I don't think it's not considered Old Town, but there are a lot of residents there that, especially at my mom's restaurant, Sweet Fire Donna's, they have a very tight community there. And, they've got people there that come there 4, 5, 6, 7 days a week.
Wow.
Without fail, a large group of them, and they miss their little neighborhood spot. A lot of them just live right upstairs. I used to bartend there years ago. And I would, walk a lot of my patrons out with me as I'd lock the doors and make sure they got in their elevator to go upstairs. And it's a community here in one sense, but over there it's very, very tight, because they literally live in the building, a lot of them.
Right.
And they've shown us as much support as they can. It is a different clientele over there. Del Rey, it's heavy roots, families.
Right.
Carlisle, it's a lot of transplants. It's a lot of people that have only been there for a few years, probably will only be there for a few years, but they also are looking for some sense of family and community. And I believe that we've been able to provide that for them through the 3 places over there. And they've given back as much as they can to us. It's really been really amazing to see, actually.
Now, because they live upstairs, have you been able to do deliveries?
Mm-hmm. We do deliver using our own staff over in the Carlisle restaurants, which has been really great, because I know that a lot of people would rather have our employees delivering the food than going through a different service for a lot of reasons. We don't provide that over in Del Rey, but we do that over there.
Everybody just walks down to see Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And company.
And I think a lot of people too, you know, they're at home, they're with their families. Getting out of the house and going to pick up food is something that a lot of people, I think, look forward to.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever it takes to get out of the house.
The parents are fighting over who gets to go pick up the food. I think is the case in a lot of the Del Rey families.
Yes, I would absolutely agree with you on that. Well, now, have either one of you all have you kept the entire menu? Some places have done a streamlined menu just because of how hard it is.
We streamlined the menu a little bit at Whiskey Oyster. We shaved that down a little bit just because we aren't doing the same volume and we need to keep the seafood fresh.
Yeah. And
we did the same thing at the sushi bar. We scaled that back a little bit for the same reasons because it's really important to turn that stuff up over every day or every other day. So having a smaller menu helps you do that. And then the other menus are pretty much the same, but we've made some slight changes to things to make them travel better.
Yeah.
For example, we're not doing the truffle fries or the
garlic fries.
The what? The rosemary or the
garlic fries?
Or the garlic fries, because they make the bags too wet and we're having catastrophes. They're really oily and greasy, and so just little tweaks like that we've done for practical purposes. But other than that, the menus are mostly the same, and I think we've added more things with the wing menu at Holy Cow and some other chicken sandwiches we've done at Holy Cow. We're trying to put more of a focus on chicken in these places because the beef prices and the beef supply has been pretty finicky.
Well, as someone who is now a vegetarian, your fish sandwich was fabulous.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. We have two of them. You know, we have the pollock and then also the tuna. So
I think I must have gotten the pollock, but I mean, God, it was a huge piece. It was crispy.
Good.
I was very, very happy.
Great. Chelsea probably wasn't working that day.
What about alcohol sales? Have those gone up?
Well, they haven't gone up, but
they haven't gone down.
Well, the change to allow us to do to-go cocktail sales was huge. That was a big deal for the restaurants, especially the Mexican restaurants. Yeah. Tequila Poblano and Tequila Taco are doing a lot of to-go margarita sales.
Okay.
We're really lucky that legislation went through because that's been a lifesaver. Because
where did the legislation start?
I'm sorry?
Where did the legislation start?
The governor pushed it through, but the mayor of Alexandria, Justin Wilson, and the mayor of Richmond were really lobbying behind the scenes to the governor and the Virginia Department of ABC that we need this, businesses need this, and it happened in about a week, which is pretty amazing. If you had told me a year ago that we were going to be able to do to go takeout sales,
yeah,
I would have never believed you. It was incredible that happened, and so it's helped us a lot.
I remember the first day we started bottling cocktails.
Yeah,
so surreal.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was just like everything as somebody in this industry. Yeah, exactly.
This one was made especially for Charlotte Hall of Old Town, and she hasn't picked it up yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Charlotte, waiting for you.
But yeah, no, it's so crazy because it's like everything against what you're supposed to, everything you've ever been trained to do is to keep booze in the building at all times. And now we're just trying to get as many people to take home liquor as we can. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
but also super cool
so,
at the same time.
So we just got through phase 1, and it was an amazingly gorgeous weekend. How did that go? How did you get ready for it? And did people behave?
We only did patio dining out in the Carlisle area.
Okay.
We decided to stay as a curbside only restaurant in Del Rey, and we plan on keeping it that way for a bit. It just suits the neighborhood better and us better. And if it's not broken, don't fix it. We've been doing okay doing the curbside, but
it was real tough in Delray because we've kind of got the curbside pickup down, and we didn't want to mess that up. So we're going to probably add some sort of outdoor dining component in the future to this, but we didn't want to rush it and do it wrong. So we're just kind of waiting and seeing. We've also got the Pat Miller Square across the street from us. And there's 4 tables over there that Pat Miller puts sanitizer on every morning. So we've told people that they can get the food to go, and if they'd like, they can just eat it across the street, still eating outside and social distanced, and still get great burgers and barbecue and sushi.
Mm-hmm. I have a good friend who's taking this entire quarantine very seriously, and she lives on South Fairfax, and she ventured to the corner of Fairfax and King, and she turned around and ran home. She said it was just
Yeah, the challenges for the restaurateurs in King Street, especially the 100 block of King Street, are different because there is so many more people down there. You've got the waterfront, and the city's done such a great job of getting people to come to Lower King Street over the past decade, that now they've got this problem of, well, what do we do with them all? The sidewalks are really narrow down there, and there's a lot of unique challenges for Old Town, especially the 100 block of King, that don't exist for us in Delray or Carlisle, where there's a little bit more space and there's parking lots and people can spread out more. So I don't think the operators down there are doing a bad job. I just think that they're challenged in a different way. Well,
and they're trying to accommodate the people who want to come. I mean, it's a push-pull kind of thing.
That's absolutely right. And we can't control what our customers do when they leave, or what they do before they get to us, or what they do on a public sidewalk. We just, we do our best, but we're frustrated and scared and concerned, just like everyone else is.
So basically, you're just going to do curbside for the foreseeable future.
Well, no, we're doing at 2 of the restaurants, Tequila Taco and Whiskey Oyster in Carlisle. We have outdoor dining set up in the patio there because there's more room, and we have plans to do some stuff maybe on the side of Oxford, or work with the city to maybe do something in the parking lot a couple days a week. We're not really sure what we're going to do yet, but that's probably how we're going to ease back into it.
Yeah, I was thinking about your back parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, when we opened Friday evening quietly in Carlisle on the patio dining, and I decided, as my role as marketer for the group, that you just let it happen and not advertise it and just kind of ease into it. We figured a lot of people would head down to Old Town anyway, just to get our staff acclimated, because Friday morning was a little stressful. It was kind of like opening a new restaurant again, but we were doing it at Tequila and Whiskey because there's all the factors of opening a new restaurant that was involved. Uncertainty, how are things going to go tonight? There's a lot of things that we couldn't plan for because we have to just kind of figure it out as it goes. And last weekend, it was a trial run of a weekend. We definitely found a lot of things that we can now fix and do better. And also training all of our staff, because they have a lot of questions that we don't have a lot of answers to. But it's kind of like we figure it out in real time and get it going.
The analogy of building the airplane as you're flying it is one that I hear often with businesses and with the city of Alexandria. So that's what we're all kind of doing here.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that most people have been pretty patient?
Yes. Yeah. Most people have. Yes. Others haven't.
Yes.
I'll just leave it at that.
Yes.
In the restaurant business, we have these built-in mechanisms to cope with kind of the customers that aren't as pleasant as we'd like. And during the COVID era, it's been a little bit more difficult to deal with some of them. Everybody is frustrated. Everybody wants this to be over. Nobody wants to be in this situation. And unfortunately, when people are stressed and frustrated, they take it out on people they shouldn't. And I think sometimes our industry, and especially the people working on the front lines who are out there working the tent every day, they get the brunt of people's frustrations sometimes. But it's important to note that most people are kind. Most people are patient. The majority are. It's just those who aren't are very loud, more pronounced.
And I have noticed, I don't particularly like Yelp anyway, but that
neither do we.
We're gonna trigger this man in here in a second. So.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous that when people have said unkind things, whatever, that other people have been very quick to jump on and say, "Look, just back off. Now is not the time to complain about whether one French fry was cold."
Right.
You know?
Yes.
Right.
They will continue to do so, but.
And I got to tell you, everybody who's working right now in our restaurant group, and any restaurant, and any retail business, or anybody who's serving the public right now, they are trying their best. They are trying their absolute best, and it's tough because just everything's different. So, cut them some slack. That's what I.
Some slack. Let's talk just briefly about the food chain. I know you mentioned that beef prices are skyrocketing, which I totally understand. How has it been getting other supplies that you need?
Much better.
Okay.
Other than beef, it's been my experience. About a month ago, it was at its worst. When there was a lot of panic buying at the grocery stores. There was a lot of corrections and overcorrections made within the supply chain. And so there was problems getting things, but usually it was like one day, or we could get it from a different supplier. So it was really rocky and it was rough. That has really settled in better, but meat prices are higher. Chicken is a little bit higher, pork is a little bit higher, and beef is a lot higher.
Okay.
And part of that has to do with the way beef is processed, and the carcass distribution of a cow is different than a chicken and a pig. And it just makes it more difficult. But the beef market is really upside down. I've never seen anything like this before. It's things that should cost more cost less, and ground beef, which is traditionally the cheapest thing, is more than higher cuts of meat right now. So it's a really weird situation in the beef market. So we're waiting it out. We've got 3 or 4 different distributors that we juggle, and we've raised our prices a little bit on the beef items. But we're eager to put them back to where they were, and hopefully that's going to happen. I'm hoping in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. But I don't have a crystal ball, and we've never been through this before, and I don't have a diary from when this happened last time. So we'll see what happens. And
what about the seafood, Chelsea, particularly oysters?
Oysters have been okay, actually.
They're a lot much cheaper.
Yeah.
The seafood is very inexpensive. Is trending less expensive than it was before. It's all about supply and demand, and there's not a lot of people buying oysters right now.
Maybe it's a good time to go to the market.
It's a good time to get a dozen oysters to go at Whiskey Oyster. Available.
All right, that's what I'm going to do then.
Yeah.
Only $20.99, cheapest in town.
$20.99 for a dozen shucked oysters, fresh.
Okay.
ALXHGR.com.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you put
that at the bottom there, where it's scrolling across the bottom.
Yes.
ALXHGR.com.
Yes.
All right. Well, listen, I know both of you all are extremely busy, and I want to let you get back to what you were doing. But thank you so much for being with us today. Chelsea, this is the first time we've met, but I've known Bill and your dad since before they actually opened the restaurant, and actually had our grandsons.
Well, my hair was black and Mike's hair was only gray.
Well, that's true. And we actually had a grandson's baptism party.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah.
Barrel BBQ.
I remember that. We opened early for you guys.
Well, unfortunately, because of COVID has overshadowed just about everything in everybody's lives. We are celebrating 10 years of Pork Barrel this year, right?
That's right. This November it'll be 10 years since we opened.
Wow.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Right.
Which is crazy, but awesome.
In 12 years since we started building it.
That's what I remember
Yeah.
when we started building it.
Yeah.
The city council meetings that I used to go
Yeah.
to.
Oh man.
But I think
Oh man. I wish we could go back to those problems.
Bill will know the answer to this, but Mike conceptualized wanting a barbecue restaurant 20 years ago. How many years ago? When did Bubba Mike's out of Mango Mike's start?
Mike's always wanted to have a barbecue restaurant. He's gone through a couple different variations of what it was going to be, but he's always wanted to have a barbecue restaurant. Now he's got two. Or, well, he's got one and his wife's got one. Yeah.
Keeping the family. Well,
Yeah.
listen, I look forward to seeing both of you all, one, to pick up oysters, and two, to come get another fish sandwich. Michael still eats meat, so, you know.
That's good. That's good.
We're
He's a good man.
He's a good man. He is. And I wish you continued success. Just briefly, and I know you're going to validate this, but everybody I've talked to, all the small business owners, have talked so much about how the business associations, both the Old Town Business Association and the Delray Business Association, have just been pillars of support. Whether it was a phone call or whatever it was, that everybody has just been so helpful.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Delray has always been a tight community.
Yes.
And Old Town's got a little bit of that too, although I would argue they become even more tight during this. And there's not any fighting or any competition or any bad blood between any of the restaurants here in Delray. We're all helping each other, and that's how it's always been. And it doesn't surprise me that's still the case.
Yeah.
I can still walk next door if I need something and knock on the back door to Kira Poblano, and they'll give me a dozen lemons if I need them.
Right.
So,
right.
It's great, and this is a horrible situation, but it's made better by the communities that we are doing business in. And we're really lucky, both with the business community and the neighbors and our customer community, to be doing business in Delray and in Carlisle. It's tremendous.
Another reason we all love living in Alexandria.
Yeah, and I will also add one more thing too. The city of Alexandria, the city staff, the politicians, the city manager, transportation, all those departments, finance, Visit Alexandria. The city staff has done an exceptional job too, and my hat's off to them. They've really gone above and beyond to reach out to the businesses, the business associations, and said, what do you guys need? How can we help? Which in Alexandria isn't really the way it always works. You know,
Right.
we don't have the reputation of being the most business friendly city. So they've really been helpful and eager to help. And I can't say enough great things about the city of Alexandria and our elected officials.
Well, I think that is a great way to end it. Thank you again so much. Maybe a year from now, we'll come back and do a check-in and see where everyone is. Bill,
Hopefully we can do it at the bar.
yes. Oh,
Yeah.
that would be great. That would be great. And I know I'll see you in the neighborhood. And Chelsea, I hope I see you when I come to get
Yeah,
there.
keep your eyes peeled. You'll see her. She's around.
I'm around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Virginia.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much, Virginia. Have a great day. Stay safe.
Bye. Okay.
Are we live? Are we